Mining is a sadistic combination of Friends in Mineral Town and Magical Melody. What makes it different from Friends in Mineral Town's system is that there's pitfalls, but you can't even see where the pitfalls are this time unless you use the hoe on them. Chances are you'll walk into them anyways because they're so used to moving right after tilling. And you lose a lot of stamina from falling. You shouldn't lose any. Being forced to dig up every square in front of you on the way to rocks before you're even allowed to smash them isn't fun. It ruins mining. The staircase in the mines can be in the square around the staircase out of the mine. So that's even more squares you have to dig up. Unless you get lucky. I have to look up that the way each new mine is unlocked is that you simply reach the bottom floor of the latest mine. The first mine has a conveniently small 10 floors, and the bottom of it is filled with black herbs. After Magical Melody, I miss having a different track for every mine. I immediately hated the Jewel Mine because it has monsters in it that decrease your stamina if they run into you. The combat's unfair with 4 directional controls. You will get hit, which makes me resent the stamina animations even more. There shouldn't be stamina animations when you have the Truth Bangle on. The game has a list of all of the mine monsters you encountered, which makes you feel obligated to try and fill it out. At least the flying ones have very predictable moving patterns. They obviously seem like something that shouldn't exist at all though. I always hated that the mine monsters turn out to look like black colored versions of animals in the game. Everything past the second mine has these monsters. The best thing about this game, you can actually call any shop from your house and order items, and instantly get the item. That's distractingly unrealistic, but it's so convenient that it's like a dream. Why doesn't every Harvest Moon game from now on do this? This is so convenient, I'd never have any faith that a Harvest Moon game would do this. All the shops listed on the phone are the same ones from Friends in Mineral Town. Well, at first I assumed I could actually go to those stores because I am used to the earlier Harvest Moon games. If you check the actual level design of the game, you'll find nothing but the buildings from A Wonderful Life. No town wouldn't have a grocery store, though you can buy food ingredients from the supermarket over the phone. The third mine is mostly rocks. Why is there still junk ore on the third mine? That should be just the first mine thing. I love that adamantite is on every floor below the third mine. You wouldn't expect that. You'd think you'd have to go down a couple of floors. Having that many mines is just confusing because you have to look up where to get stuff from. Having a woman at the bottom of one of the mines was just mean of the game designers. There's no way she'll ever talk. She's really the worst bachelorette ever. And all of her events just have her write down on a board what arbitrary items she wants. If you don't happen to have all 6 tools in your bag when you go to see her, the boulder won't disappear, so you won't be able to see her at all. How's anyone supposed to know that? With some of the festivals, you get a visitor the day before a festival, so you have to hold A through all of that text. It's an annoyance that someone shows up at your door to remind you that's going to happen and talks way too much every year. But so much happens in one day that you're probably going to forget that visit, since the days all blend together. It'd make more sense for the visit to be the day of the festival. If you keep the ball on the floor in your house, every so often the mayor will show up at your house and waste time giving your ball back to you. It seems that he illegally goes through your trash can on you to give it back to you, and you obviously want to get rid of it, and he had no reason to look through the trash. Wouldn't it be great if I could go to a shop and buy a shelf? This is a confusing choice on the part of the level designers. You shouldn't have to get a lumber shed for cutting wood to teleport the lumber to that shed. Having the lumber get in your bag just wastes your time. And you can also make a shed for storing stone. I assumed because of common sense that if you press one of the numbers on the Harvest Sprite screen you don't have, you'd be told how to unlock the sprite. I also assumed because I have a brain that the Harvest Sprite screen would show you a long list telling you exactly how to unlock every single Harvest Sprite if you tap on the one you want. But no, that required logic. Well, thank goodness there's a TV channel you can watch that tells you how to unlock Harvest Sprites. which you'd have to take some effort to even learn about. I had to look up on the internet how to unlock TV shopping. You need to buy items continuously until you unlock Venus Channel 2. After about 10 days straight, and the days off don't count, the TV shopping channel appears. Why do you need to unlock a TV channel and watch it to be able to order something over the phone? After you buy something from TV shopping, you can renovate your house. As opposed to, being able to renovate your house from the start of the game. Like even Harvest Moon 1 and the Game Boy let you do. How does that make any sense? Why doesn't it just use his magic to give me the furniture for free? What are they doing with the money? Buying groceries and stuff from normal people who aren't supposed to know they exist? Do they pay the other very rare humans like you to buy groceries for them? Why don't they ask you to do it then? I do really love that you can watch TV on the bottom screen as you're playing the game wherever you are in its world, even the mine. So you can have something to pay attention to when you're just walking ahead. Why wasn't that kept? The TV shopping channel has worthless infomercials for overly expensive things Harvest Sprites like to use that you can't actually buy. So it's another fiction within fiction show that's trying to entertain you. You never expect Flora to have a heart event at the bar. And they do nothing to actually develop the characters beyond their one-dimensional personalities. Flora liking a heavy drink is not a personality. And even then, that event made her a bitch too because she was mean to poor Ruby for not selling it anymore, even though the circumstances were out of her control. Why are there days that aren't holidays? That are still days where it's impossible to get any heart events? I had to go here this time because it was locked before then. It's distractingly weird that the summer track sounds medieval. You have to know to press the part of the touchscreen that has a picture of a Harvest Sprite on it, and tap on the weather report or Harvest Sprite. Fortunately, you can interrupt him at any time, and aren't forced to sit through all of his texts. And it's convenient that you can walk around while he's telling you the weather. I love that you can get a peach almost every day in the summer from the pink flower tree on your farm. So it did have a purpose. But one, it's a green apple thing at first, and you have to wait. At least all I have to do to harvest from a tree is press A in front of it, though. So it's much faster. But two, how is this better than the honey tree? It was intuitive that honey made a good gift. How is this better than a tree that gives you 3 apples? I went to the beach on the first day of summer hoping I'd find herbs there like in Friends in Mineral Town finally. Instead, Kai forced me to stay on the beach until I'd buy food from him, except you can't keep the food and restore stamina and fatigue. Even talking to everyone on the beach doesn't allow you to leave. Kai literally forced me to stay on the beach until I bought something. And that's why I'm glad that as of this game, you can still save and load during a festival. It turns out GOTS gives you the second house upgrade even if you don't have enough materials. If you have like 200 stones in your shelf, the game has a hard time keeping track of it. I looked at my farm stats screen on the bottom screen and immediately saw that the game has multiple different kinds of lumber to collect. But thankfully, you only ever need one type of lumber to build something. But still, way to overcomplicate something. So it would take 4 times as long to get 999 of each type of lumber. For the carpenter's shop, you see a gigantic amount of sheds as options in the list. And yet, you don't see the prices of them to the right of them. He doesn't tell you the fucking price right up front. It's hard to be excited about earning money without even knowing exactly how much money you need. Why can't I upgrade a building to be made of a different material after building it? And you have to get into a long story talking to GOTS to even find out how much material each thing requires. You have to tell them which material you want to use if it's a certain thing. Choose between prepare it myself and buy materials here, paraphrase. And only then will he tell you that the amount of material needed for, say, an animal shed is 500 pieces. Is everything that's not stone guaranteed to collapse eventually? That has to be why I lost my basements, because I wasn't letting blizzards happen. If it was just because it was a snowy day earlier, it was year 19 when that happened. It's fast-paced that you don't get a cutscene when you do lose a building or something. I'm glad I lost my basements though, because you can't just choose to change the material of something you built. So this was the only way I could buy golden lumber basements. All I did was get out of the GOTS menu to buy stuff from other shops, and now he won't even let me buy lumber from him. He makes the excuse that I can only ask for one thing at a time because doing 2 tasks leads to problems. It's not intuitive where the option for building a greenhouse is, because it's not called greenhouse. This wasn't the case in Harvest Moon 64. I hate that you can't relocate buildings. This isn't a realistic game. This is a game where buildings get built in just a few days and even expanded. The hot spring can be found by activating Flora's Blue Heart event. Holy fuck. You have to look up a guide to find out how to befriend Flora. You're forced to befriend a completely random seeming villager for no reason. 11:20 PM to 12 AM, not Sunday. It's pathetic that the first hot spring you unlock doesn't restore stamina at all, just fatigue. The only way to unlock the hot spring you should have had in the first place for a playable game is to spend an hour 100 times in the first hot spring. I'll always hate that when you buy an animal, it appears outside, and you have to waste hours getting it into the barn. What were they thinking? At least the animal doesn't become unhappy if this happens on a day with bad weather. It turns out you have to wait a week before a new chicken can start laying eggs. 3 days, actually. Why? That just confused me into thinking it was broken and selling it. Who would know this right away? If that's what they were going for, it should have looked like a more older chick, not like all the other chickens. I just figured, well, the game's such a downgrade in every other aspect, I wouldn't put it past the idea that sometimes chickens could be born male and useless. You can also have more than just one coop and barn. You could have a ridiculous amount of animals if you want. You're forced to play the boring pet minigames 500 times each to unlock all the sprites. You'd feel better about using your finger to pet in the pet minigame, but it's not as responsive. I hate the fireworks festival because you don't see the actual sky. The screen just flashes colors while you see the character standing on the beach. And it's even worse here because the colors aren't transparent. And the absolute worst part is that in typhoon season, going to the festival forces you to go straight to the next morning. It's especially unforgivable in a season where you have to save before going to bed every day and see if the weather forecast warns of a hurricane or not, in order to prevent it. I don't like Flora enough in this game. In her final heart event, she says you're dim about love behind your back. And when you choose the option, I don't hate you, she's just a jerk saying that you should have said something right after you came into the room. And hypocrite. She wasn't polite to Ruby or me. I still think she's the most interesting character that's marriageable. So ultimately, she's still my favorite one. But if you lie to her, you get rewarded. A relationship that punishes not lying where she can easily get annoyed with you is not good. That's a last straw for a love interest that doesn't even know how to cook right, which is already one of the worst things. Poor Carter. How can she be so mean as to force him to eat spicy food when she knows how much he hates it? What is with the writing in this game? Why is everyone so mean-spirited? Pumpkin Festival is the same BS, except the kids barge inside this time. Though it doesn't happen anymore when you're married, somehow. I hate that your character can automatically faint indoors without you using a tool for it. This happens if your fatigue points are high enough. When you faint in your house, Takakura warps into your house even though it's really early in the morning. And him knowing to be there at all is ridiculous. That's all because I was using the touch glove trying to unlock the sprites. I couldn't find proof that pets counted. It pisses me off thinking of all the time I wasted doing these petting minigames with the pets. I remember reading that if you faint in this game, you lose half your money. At least your wife won't steal from you if you faint on the farm. When I chose not to sacrifice white grass profit to the mayor, instead of being sad, he outright acted like an asshole, said he overestimated me, and guilted my character saying he's not that kind of person. I don't remember him being this mean in Friends of Mineral Town. He just acted sad. He said he overestimated you in the previous game too. But here he goes on longer, and the portrait and tone take a mean-spirited turn. This is supposed to be a children's game in a charming farming town. This feels like bad fanfiction derailing likable characters. You need dozens of sprites unlocked to get married! For no goddamn reason at all. There are so many sprites you never would have unlocked through normal gameplay that it would take forever to list all of their names, let alone say everything you need to do, and even saying all of their names is boring. The god dang it sprites are Jet, Tep, Jum, Hops, Baby, because they're expected to either examine things with A when there's a billion things to examine, Baby because examining his pot doesn't do anything until you unlocked 60 sprites. Then there is Channel 2, the shopping channel, because you'd never think to buy an item from a supermarket daily. Even if you had a lot of money, you'd buy in bulk anyways. Kevin requires you to ship an item with a horse, in a game with a rucksack that stacks. Cameron needs cabbage shipped, when cabbage isn't the best spring crop. Vale needs peppers shipped, when it's not the best fall crop. Solely because you're never going to order a drink, let alone 50 times, because that costs money and usually doesn't restore much anyways. You can't just buy water for the sprites to appear. It's a good thing ordering drinks increases Muffy's heart points. I'll give this game the fishing team because if you know it's a thing to unlock, maybe you would try to fish in every possible spot just in case, even though normal gameplay doesn't include that. It baffles me that whenever you save a new harvest sprite, he doesn't tell you what you did to unlock him. So if you don't know what you did, it lessens your sense of accomplishment. You'd need to hire the fishing team to catch enough fish to unlock every sprite, which you have to do by catching a fish after that goal is met. But saving when the fishing team is hired corrupts the game. So the smart thing to do is cheat to unlock them. Because even if you avoid mining, eventually you're gonna forget you're not supposed to save. There's no actual challenge in getting all of the sprites. This game just forces you to repeat easy tasks a ridiculously mind-numbing amount of times. You already proved you could do something the first time. So after doing a task once, you've already experienced what it's like to unlock the sprite and proven you could. So there's only a little pride in unlocking a new sprite. It's mostly just an exhausted, frustrated sigh of relief and asking what the hell had to take so long. You'd think there'd be a sprite for every festival you go to. That's the case in Magical Melody, which gave you an incentive to experience the whole game. You'd think the game would unlock harvest sprites as a reward for shipping every crop in the game, or shipping a duck egg, to encourage you to experience more of the game. And why did they make you sit through a very long, unskippable cutscene when you've unlocked the second hot spring? It's weird that the mayor would be able to interact with the harvest sprites, let alone casually rely on them. It's too bad he doesn't even acknowledge how rare it is for him to see them. It's so unacceptably lazy that the top screen is black to avoid animating anything. It's only got the graphical power of an N64. No way it could possibly show you a hot spring being built. Yes, it's not being built now, but it could show it after. Even if in a metaphorical sense it's not realistic, the earlier games did that. You can level up your milker, brusher, and clippers by using them a lot, which lets you get more milk and wool. But you'll need to repeatedly use them for no reason all day to get them to a really high level really quickly. The best thing about ranching in this game was taken out in the later version of the game. Every time you use the milker, it levels up, so you can get 100 bottles of milk from one cow in no time. Clippers can't be improved in the glitchy version. Sheep are always a mistake when you could get a cow instead, so you're better off not even having to bother with the clippers. The milker only starts leveling up really fast after its first level up, which takes days. I love the extra touch that sometimes when you buy a cow, it'll be a brown cow. You can't press a button on the wall to warp the cows outside anymore. And you don't start out with a pasturing fence, so I don't graze them anymore. I have to take the time of boringly feeding them manually because it's faster and less boring than the alternative. And there's no milking room. It also sucks having to equip a tool to milk cows again because that wastes a bit of your time. A more rare problem is cows can clip into each other and prevent you from affecting one until the other moves away. I hate that you're forced to do the milking minigame to get even medium milk, and the time limit's so strict that I only ever got it twice for this playthrough. Why is there a time limit for any of these? And if you didn't level up your milker, you'll be missing getting more than 1 bottle of milk a day from a cow. You get 100 milk bottles instead of 99 from milking normally, so having to do it this way cheats you out of a milk bottle. Normally I wouldn't complain about not getting very tiny amount of money, but it takes a ridiculous amount of money to buy everything in the game. Compared to last game, it sounds like ranching sucks in every way. But that's all minor things. The animations for taking care of animals is so much faster, and it means a lot that I don't have to get a cow pregnant to get her to produce milk. And the cows don't mind spending their whole lives indoors. Getting to get 100 milk bottles per cow also makes up for things. The touchscreen minigames take way too long, so it's inconsiderate of the game to try to force them on you. The training minigames for the Harvest Sprites and Friends of Mineral Town had a tutorial for them. These don't, and yet they have a score. And it hurts your wrist. Because the faster you move, the better milk you'll get. It's annoying that you're forced to use a touch glove to get large and medium wool. And can't get large wool unless all of the sheep is covered in wool. I'm glad I can safely cancel out of the milking game the second I see a heart over the animal. I hate that you're not allowed to milk a cow again that day if you accidentally forgot to equip the touch glove first. I really do hate having to do these minigames so much to unlock sprites. I feel like they're hurting my hands. The tips of my pointer and index fingers were tingling a little for days. And my right wrist kinda hurts when moving the stylus back and forth just to milk a cow. You'll run out of time a lot when you're shearing the sheep. I know there's an infinite wool trick, but I just can't get it to work. Why is there a time limit? I like that you can unlock the shearing sprites faster by only shearing sheep until the S-wool icon shows up on the left side of the minigame, and then shearing them repeatedly in the same day. But the icon's so small while your eyes are focused on something else, so it took forever to notice it. I hate that the heart levels of animals raise so slowly that I'm at the start of winter and I still have no hearts on anything. So it's impossible for you to win the festivals with them unless you hire nothing but brushing team sprites. When you're just not going to have the option to do that if you want to unlock the healing sprites in the first year of the game. 1 month's progress and your animals still won't produce better than small products. The only reason my chickens had any hearts was because an animal born on your farm has a 2-heart advantage. Good thing I can get milk of a huge size no matter what the heart level then. When I went to bed on winter 25th, the mayor snuck into the house just to lazily and idiotically refuse to give me a gift because I don't have a stocking. It's such a lazy animation that a DS game would rather show a black screen than show him in the house. It's especially dumb since he says ooh ooh ooh, which is ow translated the French way. Slapstick isn't funny if you can't even see it. How is I expected to have a stocking? You need Nina to like you enough to knit you a stocking for this holiday. Sure sucks that she dies after you get married then. It's not memorable at all that Nina won't knit you the stocking until you give her the yarn in her house. While you do need to put milk in a mixer to get butter, you need to not only build a maker shed to get cheese and yarn, but you also need to get an adamantite. Removing curses is done by calling the church this time, but otherwise it's handled the same ways in Friends of Mineral Town, without a special requirement to get rid of the curse. so that's good. It should have listened to the fans complaining about how ungodly, tedious, and inexcusably annoying getting the mythic tools was. You can have 5 failed attempts at getting even 1 cursed accessory, but never more than 10. It's interesting that there's more floors with cursed tools potentially in them than there are cursed tools. Finest Curry forced me to wait until spring so I could get Yellow Curry to make it because it requires a Rainbow Curry, requiring every type of curry. So making a Rainbow Curry takes an entire year where you collect every type of herb. It's so easy to walk into a pitfall by accident and fall past Kiria's floor. It wouldn't be so bad if 255 was the bottom floor of the 3rd mine, like I assumed, and they just kept it simple. You'd think you'd only have to make the boulder vanish once. Of course, you have to waste stamina just to kill the monsters. Even as a kid, I knew how glaringly lazy it was that the mythic stones looked like black branches. With a tool upgrade system like this, it deserves to be bypassed, because you've already experienced what it's like to go through it by just going through a little bit of mining. I hate the loud sound that plays for too long when you use the charged up mythic sickle. It causes me to mute the volume, and its animation lasts longer. I hate that fully charging up and using the mythic axe or hammer only destroys all the boulders or stumps that you can see and leaves the others in the room behind. I'm impressed that there's any development on Celia. When she was a kid, she had to stay inside while the other kids played outside because she was sick and delicate. And she wastes time praying to the harvest goddess, hoping she'll get better because sometimes her chest hurts. It's pathetic that they thought randomly giving Celia a vague illness that makes her weak entirely off screen would make her interesting. They chose that instead of actually making her character interesting. Lumina is more to her character. It seems like a cheap, lazy shortcut, especially since they do the same thing with Marlin. Unlocking the Harvest Goddess has this cutscene where both screens become entirely white. You see her character portrait from Friends in Mineral Town and she talks to you, and that's it. I'm grateful that it wasn't forced to go to the Harvest Goddess pond in the game itself and sit through a long unskippable cutscene and the credits. But it's so underwhelming that it feels very rushed, like the whole story mode was an afterthought. It's shocking, like the game itself didn't care about your accomplishment. I hate animal levels. You somehow can't level up an animal's shipping level again after the first time they won the festival, when that's the assumption everyone would make. You can't pass down the animal level to the animal's baby though. So how long would it take to get a level 100 animal? 100 years? You'll have made all the money you'd want to make long before the 20th year just by upgrading your crop levels. How does it even make sense that the baby of a champion animal would have the higher level from the start? I looked up the heart events of the Witch Princess. She stays one-dimensional too. We never learn anything about her other than she's a person who irrationally hates the Harvest Goddess. That's unacceptable for an eligible bachelorette. In the earlier North American versions of the game, it's impossible to marry the Harvest Goddess and Witch Princess due to glitches. You can tell if you have a glitch copy because you don't get buckwheat flour from the New Year's festival. You really have to try to find out what time to talk to Nami to get actually different dialogue from her depending on her heart level. In the inn's kitchen, she always ignores me like a bitch and asks Ruby to cook for her. It's too bad the villagers don't have different stuff to say for every heart level everywhere. It should never be location specific what they say, because you're just gonna miss out on their dialogue like that. How are you supposed to know at which time of the day they'll actually have new dialogue? The mushrooms take forever because they take forever to grow. You need a guide to know that you can keep watering mushrooms to get them bigger and bigger instead of harvesting them as soon as possible. And the fact that you have to water a mushroom for long enough so that it changes size twice makes it take 3 times longer to ship everything.